welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is quite then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
And welcome everybody to the show. Hey, we have with us some esteemed guests all the way from Massachusetts with us, the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates. Welcome, Pat Connors, Eva, and I apologize, I forgot to get how to pronounce your last name. I wanted to say, I'm not even going to butcher it. I'm going to let you say your last name. I forgot to ask that part. I apologize. Nagy, okay. See, once again, I should just quit second guess myself. That's what I was going to go with, and I'm like, I'm just going to make a fool of myself on air. And Don DeCristofaro, how are you folks doing tonight? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we're great. It's good to be here.
Really good. So kind of for everybody that's not listening, we had a previous episode with Willie Hassel, and it was over his documentary about the USS Salem Sea Witch, and just through it, we were just kind of talking back and forth, and he was mentioning you guys, and he also brought up you yourself, Dawn. You just brought up mentioning it, and then through the comments we were just kind of go back, and I saw your comments, and I just mentioned I just threw a Hail Mary out there. I'm like, dude, I'd love to have you guys on the show, and he said yes.
Oh, I'd love to do this stuff.
And he was I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you were happy when I said I would love to have is the members of the team with you, because as I said, I wanted to talk to all of you, just get all of your experiences while you're doing that, just from everything, because I've been watching some of your YouTube videos and they're really entertaining. Especially the one with the dowsing. That one we were talking. I love that one. It's like it's real people. It's not something staged, and I loved it. So
I got a kick out of your comment today.
Yeah, it's just that cracked me up. Yeah, it just turned that music off, and I was just like, oh my God, that's perfect. That's not something you normally hear. So how did you guys meet and start this? Was it something that was just there and you guys just kind of joined in at different intervals, or was it something that as a group you guys just kind of formed and here we are today?
Pat and I were part of we met aboard Salem. It's been a long time. I never get the years right, but it's been quite a while now, and we were part of a group that was investigating Salem on a pretty regular basis. And as I think a lot of people who are in groups like this will tell you, we went through some fairly horrific stuff in terms of teams and people, and stuff that made you want to jump overboard. And at some point, I'm talking about purely people stuff, not ghost stuff.
Yeah.
And at some point, Pat and I just kind of decided that we could do it right, and we've been doing it right ever since. I think we've kept our group pretty small. We've definitely taken a quality over quantity approach. Eva is a great example of that. And I think we've got a diverse group of people that I don't think I could point out what anybody specifically brings to the table, but I know we'd be sorely lacking without it. You know what I mean? So I That's really it. I mean, that's really the story.
And that's so Eva, what brought you, into there, where you're just like, I want to hang out with these dudes.
My girlfriend, Sandra Perez, found the team before me and actually introduced me to Don. And we ended up doing a one-on-one investigation with her where he got to know me, I got to know him, and we just pretty much just hit it off and we just clicked.
Nice.
And I've been with the team for maybe 4 years now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like, Pat, so when you're doing this one, I mean, like I said, I'm not digging up dirt and stuff. It's just because that's one of the things, that's one of the things that you hear from a lot of people. And I've always wondered that. It's like, as we're going here, this should be a uniform passion. We want to get evidence of the paranormal, get this thing, and all these people, they bring in this personal drama. I don't understand it. I mean, it's not a competition. I know everybody wants to have that capture. This one is mine. You have this struggle. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's like you said, I've always wondered how something like that always break, like these teams, you always end up with these inner struggles. And I'm just like, this should be a combined passion.
Yeah.
No, you're right. We're no exception to the rule. We definitely have, struggles within sometimes. But I think overall we do pretty well together. Some things come up, but I think we kind of like stop things in their tracks before they get too far. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, 'cause you don't want that. And Don, you said it probably the best, and that's kind of what I've really liked. And with your guys' group, with some of the other people that we've worked with, is I've said this as we got into this thing. If people keep just saying every little thing we find, every little thing we hear is proof that we have got captured thing, everybody looks at it like it taints the entire thing, and everybody looks at it as you're a joke. That is not a ghost. I'm sorry. That is a, that mosquito was not a fairy. I'm sorry. I know you want it to be. I know you desperately want, because you've shifted the camera real quick and all those streaks, you want those to be, I just caught 85 ghosts floating around in my backyard. That's fantastic. But what it does is it makes everybody, like what you guys are doing, lumped into the same thing. People think paranormal and they're like, oh, it's those people that think every single dust orb, dust particle is a ghost.
It's really, and it's a struggle sometimes because you do see things that make you say, oh man, and you really got to hold back and look at it a little more closely before you. I always tell people that the reason Pat and I were good together when we first started was that I was oh man, did you see that guy? And Pat is always I always say that if we were sitting in a room and books started flying off the shelves and hitting us in the head, Pat would be saying, well, yeah, but I'm not sure the floor is completely level. There is a little bit of a breeze. And that's a good, that's a good thing. You need people like that. But I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty careful about what we do. And certainly nothing that we do is mine or Eva's or Pat's. That's for sure. We do things together, and it's the crew, and what we get is what we get, and if we don't get anything, then that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. I mean, it's kind of like a round robin. I'll let you guys each do what is your favorite tool at your disposal for each one. I'll let you guys each take that one. It's like when you go on an investigation, what is the one thing that you love to use and it seems to work the best for you?
Personally,
oh yeah, just anyway. Yeah.
I love my Eddy meter because it's got a few different things in one device. They don't make it this type anymore. They have like an upgraded one that you can get at ghoststop.com. But what I love about this that I've been using for like the past 5-6 years is the fact that there's a sensor. So if something touches it, something invisible or something physical for more than 10 seconds, it'll start blinking red. It also tells the temperature of the room. So if there's a sudden change in temperature, whether it's hot or cold, it tells you right away. You see the dialogue. There's EMF, so the electromagnetic field. If there's changes, it starts blinking blue lights, and it gets more intense the stronger it is. And then there's the geophone on the bottom. So if there's vibration, you can see orange blinking lights. And that's been a fan favorite every time I bring it with me on investigations.
Yeah, I love those. I mean, just whether you watch a TV show, it's just whenever you see them, whoever they, they've been called the paranormal pucks. You have all these things where there's just something about that, you're like, okay, you can't do this, but there's something about it's dark, and then all of a sudden just lights just start going crazy, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Can you make it go green? And you see it go to green, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I actually like it. I'm like, please tell me that there's not some production assistant back there with a remote, because that's going to crush, it's going to crush my dreams. But Pat, how about you? What's your favorite tool at your disposal?
I would say it's got to be my voice recorder, because that's what I get the most evidence on. But I do like Eva's music box. That's a great tool. just the music it puts out when something breaks its beam is fantastic. But for me, yeah, and EVP recorder, absolutely.
What's that like when you're walking around? It's pitch black. There's no sounds, and all of a sudden that music thing goes off. I mean, does that still make you jump from time to time when that happens? Like it's calm, and all of a sudden just boom, that just hits.
Oh, absolutely. So it's shaped like a coffin, and it plays really old-timey music.
What?
So if something that's where the music starts to play.
You've got to get it to where it's got a gear in it, so where when it does the music, it just goes, it just lifts up, the coffin lid.
So you said on it.
And we actually
was that, Chris?
Really cool.
So you said
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. There's a little bit of delay. I apologize. Chris, go ahead.
So you said it detects the temperature. What's the coldest reading you've got it dropped to? What's the coldest reading the room has gotten for you?
On the ship, we've had it drop 10 degrees in the third mess last year when we had a lot of activity in one night.
Wow.
And you could feel the activity, you can hear it, it was audible. So it helps to have the equipment because it can validate what you're hearing and seeing at the same time. So it's pretty accurate from what I've been using it for. I haven't had any false readings with that.
That's crazy.
That's awesome. So Don, what was your favorite tool?
I think, and we use everything. I mean, we use pretty much all of the technology that's available nowadays. Including the new SLS camera, and we do some of that. But the reality is, I'm much happier with my dowsing rods than anything else. I just feel as though when I'm using my dowsing rods, I just feel as though the connection is more real, the connection is more personal, and I can certainly feel it. I get results in terms of indications, but I can feel it, and I really can feel whether or not I'm dealing with somebody. It's just a much more personal experience. That's what I've come to enjoy more than anything else.
Yeah, you had in that video we were talking about there. It's the dowsing rods there. Man, I'm telling you, you guys had a giant note board right there next to you. I am not a fan of the Ouija board. I don't want anything to do with that thing. Every time I see it, I'm just like, I'm going to be like Austin. I'm going to be like, hey, we're going to crack at the Ouija board. Nope.
Well, you saw it. I think at the end of that video, Craig, Eva walked into the room and somebody said to her, "We got the Ouija board here, but we certainly weren't going to use it without you here."
Yeah, you did. You said that right at the end. It's like we're waiting for you,
unless she's around.
And I have to say, you guys were hiding the Boston accent wasn't very present until you said Ouija board, and then I was like, there it is. As soon as you said board, I was like, there it is. And I go right there. We know he's from Massachusetts right now. Yeah, but it was. Oh man, like I said, I've watched everybody. You go to the GBPA on there on YouTube, and they're also on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, by the way, do you guys still use Twitter very often?
No.
Okay.
I can't even remember the last time. I tweeted.
2012.
Yeah, there you go.
I was looking it up, and I'm like, I don't think they're very active on Twitter. What was your first clue? I'm going to go with September 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I'm lucky that I remember to get on Facebook and stuff, because a lot of times I just don't think of it. But we're trying. I mean, we're trying. We want people to see us, and we think we do pretty good work. I think we're kind of an interesting gang, if nothing else.
Well, you are, and that's what I really wanted to drive for you guys, especially YouTube, because I was looking at like the video, I keep referencing. It was one, looked at it, and I'm like, man, this needs to be more popular, because this was actually entertaining. You guys got lots of results, especially with the dowsing rod. It's just like, are you here protecting that child? Yes. Is this child, is this a child relative? No. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. This is just like, instant answers. And I'm like, this is fantastic stuff. And I mean, that's what I like, especially the way you guys do some of your videos. You show it's videos that have there, and it's not one of those heavily edited things, because you'll get a lot of these where you can definitely see the jump cuts constantly, and you're like, okay, what did you edit out?
Yeah, and you really got to be careful. Even audio stuff. I think Pat's better at it than the rest of us, but even audio stuff, editing is a dicey thing, because clearly all we would do is try to get rid of background noise or stuff like that. But in my mind, as soon as somebody says edited, immediately I start looking at it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
did they hide the wire? Yeah. It's like, okay, the doll moved, but okay, like, and cut. All right, we got to do that again. Make sure it looks like it really moved this time. All right, and either go.
All you gotta do is listen to us on our videos, and that we're not editing anything.
And that's where I keep saying it. I want people to check you guys out, because that's what I like. I mean, as I've been going through this, everything. As we go through cryptids, everything, I'm like, I want to see the real thing. It's like, I know it's terrible. Everybody sees the TV shows on the networks. They want to see those scary moments, the things flying, but those don't happen all the time.
Yeah, it's more for sure.
Very rarely do you go into a place and a rock gets thrown at your head.
Yeah.
It just so, because at the time is that when you watch these things, that's. I wanted to get your guys' perspective. Have you guys run into, without dropping names or anything, have you guys run into people like that where you're pretty suspect on their techniques and you're pretty sure that this is something that, that they're doing something that you're like, you guys are making us look bad. You got to stop this.
Go ahead, guys.
Yeah.
I think we might run into a few psychics who are just kind of over the top as far as connecting with 100 spirits at once, or just nonstop talking, that they're talking to like every spirit in the world. So and you have to take them at their face value, So, but yeah, if you run into a person like that, it kind of leaves you with a sour taste. Like, what's really going on here?
I'm sure that's kind of.
He doesn't go over Dawn with the dowsing rods. Is this guy full of crap? That's what. No, one of the other questions like I really had is like, do you guys ever try to, include like a medium or somebody with you? Because, I don't know how edited the show is, the Dead Files. I think I've got the name right. That's the one where they do the investigation. You've got the former detective that goes into the location, and then at a separate time, she goes in, and she's the one that has medium, psychic, and they go through the same part, and then they come back, and then they compare notes. I mean, obviously, you don't know about production value. They could be comparing notes and then, talking through the story, but you take them at face value. And I was wondering if you guys try to include the medium, or, a credible psychic with you at times, just so that way you guys have that added thing like, oh, wow, this is exactly what they said when we did the walkthrough.
Yeah, we do. We try to have psychics with us. We all know people who are sensitive. Last time we went down to the Conjuring House, we brought somebody with us who isn't really part of the team, but who's a friend of ours and who's a sensitive. We've had people on the ship last season. Every few weeks, we brought a sensitive aboard the ship and gotten different perspectives. And that's part of the problem, is that you get a lot of different perspectives, and chasing them down isn't always easy. But you try to chase them all down anyway.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if I get a chance, to get up there with you guys, I definitely want to go on the ship with you guys. I think that would be a blast. And
so how many?
Eva, tell them about Castille. We had Elton Castille aboard the ship, and he's a YouTube guy. And Eva and Amanda Cook were his guides. And the only thing I will say is my favorite part of the video is at the end, he's talking to Eva and Amanda topside as they're leaving, and he says to them, boy, this was really this was a wild night, huh? And Eva and Amanda both kind of look at him and say, no, it's just kind of your average night, really.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Do you get a lot of YouTube people like, oh, I want to go with you guys just for YouTube? Or it's just like, eh?
I feel like recently it's been a lot of YouTubers wanted to come aboard. So we had Elton Castille and Exploring with Josh, that they filmed the same episode the night that Amanda and I were filming with them. And so they each respectively have about 3 to 4 million subscribers. So we thought that was great viewing.
Yeah. That's
great
true.
opportunity to be part of that show. But we had a lot of activity with them that night, a lot of shadow activity or banging noises, walking noises, disembodied voices. And yeah, Don is right. They asked us at the very end, and you probably can see the look on our faces when they were like, was this like the most incredible night you guys ever had? And we were like, it come and goes, and this is kind of average. We've had better.
So about how many times have you all been on the ship in total? And what would you say was like your best date that you was on the ship, the most craziest day on the ship?
Oh, I mean, between Pat and I, you figure, but with Pat and I, you're talking about 15 years. So we've been on the ship quite a bit. And now Eva's been with the gang 4 years. And we do a lot of public investigations aboard the ship. Groups come in and do private investigations, but we do a lot of public investigations where we have a group of 25 people who've never done any investigating before. And they always have a ball. Some of them leave early. I think there's
Austin.
Well, I think there's a big difference between I believe in ghosts and having somebody pull your ponytail. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. And some people they believe, but they're not really prepared to actually have something happen to them.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
That sounds about right. You got people that believe, but
we said that, like, we'll start.
They don't
Like,
believe they're
Pat,
gonna
we'll start
see
with you. What was your craziest physical contact from a ghost? We'll keep it family family PC here.
I'm
just kidding.
Say my personal experience was a couple of years ago. We had a small group with us, and we were in the CPO mess room with John. It was me and John and Suzanne, who's part of the team, and a few others. And we had our equipment spread out on the table all around the room. And I can remember to this day, it still gives me goosebumps, where Don sitting next to me was like, yeah, this guy, this shadow man that they had seen a couple of weeks earlier, was in the room with us, and as he's talking out loud, our equipment was going off as if it was responding, yeah, I'm here. And then
Wow.
shortly
That's
after, we heard phantom running right above us that started on one end of the room, went right over our heads, where it sounded like marching, like they were running in sync, like 100 men running in sync, because that's how heavy the boots were.
Damn.
And it stopped, and I immediately got onto my walkie-talkie with another group that was investigating across the ship. Hey, is this you? Where are you? Are you hearing this? And they said, we're on the same level as you are. We do hear it, but what we're hearing is that it's coming towards us. And as we're talking to each other, you can hear the running happen a second time, and everybody was so excited.
What?
That's cool.
And we have that audio.
Oh, yeah, because I remember like during the documentary you talked about, you'd hear footsteps like on the ship and stuff too. It's one of those. I've always loved, when you hear some of those sounds, like the disembodied voices or something. You actually can hear it in real time. You don't have to listen to the recorders to hear it, and it's pretty cool. So, Pat, how about you? What's your probably your craziest or your favoriteest moment? Like.
Yeah, I've never had anything happen to me personally, but probably aboard the Salem in the hospital, and it was actually one of the members of our group, Michelle, who wasn't a member at the time, but we were all in the hospital sitting on the bed inside there, and she happened to be in a doorway inside the room, and we all had our K2s out, and nothing was happening. We were just sitting there bullshitting, and all of a sudden she just gets, I believe she got touched, and then her necklace was pulled, and right after that, the K2s went off in succession all the way around the hospital. So like something had done that and ran out.
Wow.
So that was pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool. If you just see, was it like a sequence, like you just see them just start going as like it's moving, or
just in sequence.
Oh, that's even crazier.
It was in sequence. It started from where she was, and then it went all the way around to the exit of the room.
And that's what, by the time it gets to Austin's meter, he's already gone. He's running and it's trying to catch up with him.
Yeah, he copped a feeling and he ran. That was it. So,
that's crazy.
But
that was pretty good. I remember that night.
Yeah. Yeah, and recently, actually, our last investigation aboard there, we had something similar happen like that where instruments went off in succession, and we'll probably get to that later. But yeah,
you guys see it? I mean, obviously the pandemic and stuff down here in Florida, we're wide open. But do you guys in the future see tours going on soon? You guys opening up soon, or?
That's the plan. I mean, we went all summer last summer.
Oh, okay.
And of course the ship's tough. It's a tight, it's a tight area. People are kind of jammed together.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate in that from a legal standpoint, we were able to open, and we just did the best we could in terms of being careful. It would be dishonest of me to say that we were all super, super careful. Eva is probably leads the pack in terms of, well, I mean, in fairness, Eva tends to lead the pack in terms of being a little bit more careful than the rest of us. She's got a little guy at home and stuff to worry about. So, but I think we do the best. I think we do the best we can, and we are most definitely planning to be open for business this spring.
Nice.
So we got a trip to plan.
So for our guests, what is the average cost of that to come out and spend a day with you guys?
Public investigation is $50 per person.
We got to plan this for summertime. It won't be too hot.
I know.
I'll prove you guys wrong.
Yeah, it's brutal on the ship.
Oh, yeah, summertime. I forgot. Oh.
Hey, Don, we're going to be doing
steel box in the sun. I mean, it's
I'm just telling you, we're going to be doing. Me and Chris will be doing side bets with you guys. It's like, all right, he's going to be gone before the end of the night. Don't believe him. He'll be gone.
What a good time.
No. So what time do you usually start it? What time do you?
We try to start about 7 o'clock, close to 7 as we can. What we do is, I think we manage the tours in a very unique way. In that, what we do is we start off with just kind of a discussion about the history of the ship, both naval and paranormal, and then we give a tour of the ship with the lights on. And once we get back to the wardroom, which is the biggest meeting area in the ship, I go start turning lights off, and the rest of the gang splits the group into smaller groups, and we have guest kits so that each small group gets a bunch of equipment and basically gets to do their own investigation.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, nothing super fancy, but they all, each guest kit has a couple of K2s, and guests love the friggin' grid lasers. They have audio recorders and some cat balls and things of that nature. So I think it's kind of unique. I think the guests like it. They get to be the ghost hunters, more or less, for the night. They're never left on their own, of course. But yeah, so and then we we always say that technically we wrap up at midnight, but if things are jumping, we never pull the plug. We've had guests still aboard the ship at 1:30, 1:45.
That's awesome.
In fact, last November, I think we probably would have kept going, except it was so damn cold that none of us could take it anymore.
Yeah,
That sounds like my type of party.
Man, that's one of those. I would love that, And before I get too much further here, Holly asked a question. She goes, "Has anyone ever asked a question to a loved one who's passed and got answers from them?" I know it's you do a lot of yes and no, answers, but have anybody that you've had with you ask those questions, or you three in particular, have you guys tried in any of your things to contact somebody that's passed and got a response? So I know you had the Ouija board. I know that's.
I would say back in college, I was heavy into the Ouija board, and I had a roommate who's never played before. So we decided to do it one-on-one in our dorm room, and she wanted to reach out to her grandmother. Personally, I don't recommend reaching out to family members just because you just don't know who you're interacting with. You don't see them, you don't hear them. You could be thinking the answers and then seeing them on the board. But her reaction was pretty devastating, and she never touched the Ouija board ever since. And it was because she asked a question that only she would know, and it responded. And instantly she stopped playing, jumped on her bed, got into the corner of the wall, and just was so freaked out and was so afraid because she felt like this was her grandmother connected to her. So I've had good experiences and bad experiences with the Ouija board.
I don't want you to, like you said, it's, don't answer if you, aren't comfortable with it. But I was like, do you feel that was in fact her grandma, or do you think it was something else pretending? Because I know that's a common.
I don't know, to be honest. Her reaction was very authentic. It was very emotional, and I wouldn't have known the answer, and my hand was on the planchette as well. So it could have been. It easily could have been. But I've had experiences with the Ouija board where it would pretend to be something else. So that's why I always stay away from questions from loved ones that pass, because you just don't know what to expect. And I don't want to.
Wow.
See, we weren't supposed to know that answer.
They got her.
Yeah.
The other, like I said, we wanted to get to. I'm trying to get to thing is I don't know if we ever got an answer from you, Don, about your favorite, tool that you like. You said the dowsing rods.
Yeah.
The thing. I didn't know if there's, but the one, if you remember from Willie Hassel show, we had a question out there, and I wanted to make sure I asked you guys about it. You've seen in well, like I said, I'll just refer to them as the TV shows. You see them go across the pond to another country to do investigations. And you're in this Romanian village doing an investigation, and you go, is there anybody here with me? And the first thing I always do when I watch these things is like, they don't speak English. They died speaking a whole nother language, whether it's French, whether it's Germanic, I mean, Hungarian. I mean, it's something completely different. And I'm like, and then when you get the response, it's like, yes. I'm like, no, so I was like, okay, you guys have a lot of, the Greek, refugees that were on the ship. And that's why I said, have you brought somebody on that speaks Greek to ask these questions to get these kind of results? Because I'm like, for me, in my mind, you want to have somebody that speaks a language, because it seems like that would be a better result. Because right now it'd be like me going to a foreign country and shouting on the street corner trying to ask a question. Nobody's going to understand English. They're going to look at the crazy guy just over there screaming, weird sounds.
Yeah, we have a woman who's still kind of part of our group, but who hasn't really been with us for quite some time because she moved away. But she used to have a lot of success singing Greek lullabies down in one of the birthing areas. Kindred Spirits, when they filmed on the show, they had a young woman down in the same birthing area speaking Greek and asking questions, and they had some success down there. The language barrier, and I'm not even going to try to explain it, has never really been an issue on the ship.
And that's what I was wondering, because as I pose it, as funny as it sounds, too, people have said that their theory too is that once once your spirit passes on, once you're in the other, language really isn't a barrier anymore. You're able to communicate. The communication goes through, and it projects itself to the listener in a way, because it's not so much, the spirit isn't so much using, there's no vocal cords. So it's more like the energy is going and you're perceiving the information. I was curious if you guys feel that same way. If you think that's what it is, it's just there's no longer that language barrier once you've crossed.
I definitely feel that way. Yeah. If people are in heaven, I mean, obviously they're not all not talking to each other. They don't know each other's language. So I think it's, once you cross over, those barriers are taken down. So, whatever, it's just not there. So they just understand you and you understand them.
Have you guys done any tarot or anything while on the ship?
I don't know that anybody has done, not seriously. During Ghost Ship Harbor, which was kind of a haunted house attraction kind of thing a few years back, they had a seance room where somebody used some cards, but I don't think seriously anyone has ever made a real attempt.
Now, if I remember from the documentary, don't you say you guys really haven't done a lot of seances due to the candles and stuff? You can't really have anything burning on the ship.
On the ship.
What's that?
We try not to have open flames on the ship.
I doubt my Amazon candles back here with the fake ones count. Just go. It's like, hold on a second, I got a light for the seance. On.
Like, why are you not talking to me? You're not burning
this
the
seance
light.
stuff this seance stuff is worthless. It doesn't work.
The battery powered candles. Yeah.
I try not to keep flame around all this stuff. Although it'd make for a killer show if all of a sudden it just bursts into flames behind me. And then Sandra,
Like
just
when
like
the
she
mic
goes,
slaps you in
she
the
can bring her
face.
cards.
Sandra.
This is Sandra Perez, the Hurricane. She's one of ours.
Yes, she says she has cards, and that's cool. I'm not sure where I put mine. I've got a couple I'm just starting to learn, and I've got my prize one here for anybody. I show it off, and it's Miss Cleo.
Oh, jeez.
From the Psychic Network. I was scrolling eBay, and I saw this thing, and it was $6, and I'm like, oh, I remember as a kid growing up there, Miss Cleo's thing just comes on, and after the shows, I'm like, I've got to have it. I mean, whether or not I ever open it, I go, it's just sitting here, so I've got Miss Cleo watching over my shoulder.
Her commercials were on during the Creature feature.
I
we go, Eva.
start bringing.
That was a commercial you'd fall asleep and you'd wake.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can find it, like I said, I've got it, and it's really cool. And I just got it. Oh, it's right up here. I did put it up here. It's done
Ooh.
in the style of Del Toro in his world. And so, I mean, if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth, that's what this deck looks like. And so,
that's so cool.
yeah, and I got one. That was the artist, Tomas. I think it's Hijo. It's just Hijo. I'm not sure the pronunciation, but he did an amazing job with that. And so I put a post about that with our stuff, and the artwork is fantastic. And I was just curious if you guys have used tarot, because I've seen a few people where they'll do like readings, kind of as they're there, and I don't know if that's something that's just for show, or if that's something that is typically a successful paranormal research technique.
I've always thought that was one of those things that was kind of in the eye of the beholder. I mean, I was at Lizzie Borden one time, and I won't mention any names, but there were a couple of people that we all know pretty well, and they were using cards on the dining room table, and I kind of walked away kind of skeptical of what I had seen, but they're people I know well and who I know aren't frauds, and they were very believing in what they'd done. So I don't know. We haven't done much of it on the ship.
No.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, you've seen some of the ones. I've seen some of the locations. I watched Ghosted. I really got into the paranormal, with Ghost Adventures. So some people say, I started off on the wrong foot, and other ones are like, no, that was pretty good, to get you in there. But Bobby Mackey's, that place looks like a fantastic one. On that, is there a location that each one of you that's on your bucket list? You have got to get to, you want to be there to do an investigation on. I mean, so whoever wants to start, but what would be that bucket list? Like, I've got to get here and do an investigation.
Go ahead, guys, because I got a couple of them.
Well, for what's coming up for us as a team is Penhurst Asylum. That's definitely on my bucket list. And we're planning to go back to Hinsdale in Hinsdale, New York. And so those are very exciting locations to go to for me.
Have you all heard about the nunnery by any chance? I heard. Go ahead.
The what?
No, go ahead.
No, he's asking about has anybody heard about the nunnery?
No, where is that?
It's in Louisiana somewhere. I met a guy who does a podcast as well. He said he just got a permit, and over like 100 nuns got burned up in this building, and there's supposed to be a lot of paranormal activity there. It's in Louisiana somewhere.
No, never heard of it.
No, that's one place. I want to do some of the tours. I mean, I got to get somebody that's on the ground that knows one. I don't want the commercial ones. Like, I went into a voodoo shop when I was and I walked in here and I'm like, this is all eBay stuff. There's all the stuff that you get, all the little trinkets. You're like, the person that's pretending to be the, the voodoo priestess, back there. It's like, what can I get for you? You're like, you're all you're doing is mass producing, cutting ribbons and this. I'm like, yeah, this isn't a voodoo doll. I'm like, it's like, no. But Pat, what was your location? You want to go to?
I've never really thought about it, but that you mentioned Bobby Mackey's, that place it seems like it'd be a crazy place to investigate. I mean, it just seems like everybody who goes there has something weird happen to them, or it's kind of like the ship where it's almost like guaranteed that you're going to have something happen to you. So I think that would be definitely on the top of my list. Yeah.
I think the craziest part too is the guy that owns it. He's like, no, I don't really believe in it. I'm like, how many things do we got to show you going on before you? It's like, it'd be like having somebody that's in charge of the ship over there, just like, yeah, I don't believe in the ghost. There's nothing here. You're like, Dude, how many hours of film do we have on this thing? You got to start believing at some point. You know, the bulkhead does not slam itself shut. I'm just saying, it's an old ship. It doesn't slam shut. There was no breeze.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So you had, Don, you said you had a couple. So where are you going on your bucket list?
There are some houses, you know, the Sally House in Atchison, Kansas is someplace that I'd really like to go. And the Villisca Axe Murder House. I think those are the two that are at the top of my list. The Sally House, you know, they've gone back and forth about even allowing investigations because from what I understand, when someone investigates the Sally House, the people who lived there when the activity was at its peak still suffer whenever anybody goes back to the house.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So how, I mean, you know, it's all, you know, just conjecture here, you know, just throwing it out like, you know, but what do you think is causing that? I mean, how would something that, you know, if I've left a location and you guys come in and investigate it, how do you guys figure that is still affecting somebody? I mean, because they're not involved.
No, because I think, you know, now you start to get into the, you know, what is it you're dealing with? Question. Yeah. You know, whether you're dealing with something human, or whether you're dealing with something that's inhuman, and of course, you know, you say inhuman. And the vast majority of people start screaming about demons, but there are so many other inhuman entities that take so many different forms. You know, I think that's what you're dealing with when you deal with something that affects someone who's no longer involved with the property.
Yeah,
and you're talking opinion. I mean,
yeah, because I'm a big believer, and I've said in a few shows that in order for possession, you have to be a willing participant. I don't believe that like I said, if I go on an investigation with you guys, I'm going to come out and all of a sudden it's like I'm possessed. At some point, like I don't like some, you know, people's method where they're like, use my energy, use me, come through me, talk through me. I'm like, that's how, you know, you want a possession? That's how you get a possession right there. Yeah. And so, you know, for those people, you see some of these families that just they're tortured, and it's like, you know, do you think there was something involved in their addiction, you know, something that was a breakdown and it allowed these things to occur? Because you see these families and these kids are tormented. I'm like, these kids, I mean, what did they do? You know, to suddenly get, you know, obviously, you know, that thing we had, you know, Timothy Earl on, and he said, you know, a kid can be, you know, possessed, like, but they can't be damned. Because they didn't have, you know, they didn't willingly, you know, embrace it. So, and I think there's got to be some age thing, you know, like the age of choice. But like the little kids, it's like little kid can't be taken over and then be damned in the, you know, afterwards for the possession.
That's an interesting concept. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, and I forgot to ask that question, like you know, where the line was between, you know, just where responsibility, you know, kicks in, because at some point, you have to, you know, when you welcome it in, you know, that's when the door has been opened.
Yeah. And certainly we certainly have been in situations where we have said, if you need to use some of our energy to manifest, please go ahead and do that. We've done that. But again, we're talking about, you know, if you need some energy to light the friggin' cat ball, we're not talking about, you know, to fly across the room here. So there are definitely dangers in exposing yourself in that way. There's no question about it.
You say that and Pat goes flying across the room. It's just like, no, not that much. No,
I'd love for that to happen. Just get it on video. That's all.
Well, I think Don would too, because you might actually turn a believer into you, to where he's like, you'll start believing that the books fell off the shelf. So what's the freakiest thing that you guys have had happen to you throughout your career that you'd look back on and just say, you know, I still can't explain it. I know everybody wants to say this, and it's like, it's like, I don't think it's, demonic or just, but it was something that just to this, is just grilled in you. Is like, this is something I can't explain. I don't know how to explain it, but it freaked me out.
I have a story. So
Yeah, go.
I grew up with paranormal activity all of my life. And when I was living in Brighton as a small child, where it started when I was about 4 years old, at least from what I can remember, I was in my bedroom. My parents had been sleeping. My baby sister was already sleeping in her crib. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't fall asleep. And I was looking at the pattern on the wall. And it was the first night, for whatever reason, we never pulled the shades down. So the shade was up on the window. And the way it was casting the tree branches, just like the shapes on the wall was very unusual. And so the more I was looking at it, I started to notice it transformed into the reflection of my bedroom. So it was reflecting the door. It was reflecting my bed and myself, but in reverse order. And I was watching myself and I was like, there's something really unusual, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And it still takes my breath away. And I watched my shadow twitch in her bed. And I immediately looked at myself and I was like, oh, it's got to be me. I must have done that. And so I looked back at the wall, watching myself in the opposite direction in bed, sleeping, until she started tossing and turning. And
Whoa.
I got really, really scared. So I just watched the wall. I kept looking at myself just to confirm it's not me moving, and it wasn't, because now she was moving too much. And at one point she got up, she sat up in her bed, she rubbed her eye, she used she used my voice like it was a mimic to call out for her mom, got out of bed, walked across the wall, and disappeared through the doorway. And to this day, I can't explain it. I immediately ran out of my bed because I was afraid that the mother would start showing up and then they would start noticing me. So I ran to the window, pulled the shades down, jumped back in my bed, faced the other way, and covered myself until morning. I was so afraid. And it still stays with me to this day.
What, just as you were saying that, I was just saying it, because they always, there's always been that theory, like a mirror is a window into another parallel. Do you think maybe the veil had dropped at that point and you were actually seeing you, like another version of you at the same time? Because I know there's one you could, yeah, go ahead.
It's possible. It was the one-time thing, but that place I was living in was very active with a lot of shadow activity, a lot of poltergeist activity at night, and it was something that I had to deal with by myself because my parents didn't believe me at the time, but it was the first time that I ever saw my shadow come to life. So the possibility of it being a reflection of another realm is possible because everything was reversed on the wall. So it mirrored everything that was happening in the bedroom. So it was very scary.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome. Oh. That's fantastic. Pat, what about you? What do you get?
Probably similar to Eva in that when stuff happens to you, when something calls out your name, you get pretty freaked out. When it's in general, answers are in general, but when something starts saying your name, that's when you get freaked out. But probably the weirdest thing that happened to me was at the Conjuring house, second floor, the middle bedroom. So I was taking, it must have been like 3 a.m, and I've got the camera up on my shoulder, and I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm kind of doing the nod. But I think it was maybe Eva and Amanda were across the bed from me, and they go to, I think they say to Dawn, hey, what's Pat doing in the other room? There was another room adjacent to that, and they said, Pat's in there walking around with his video camera. And Dawn says, Pat's been sitting in that chair for 20 minutes. Huh. So they had seen a doppelganger of me in the other room. So that kind of freaked me out. To know that something was taking my image and was walking around.
He was nodding off. I was watching him.
Wow, that's crazy.
I don't know if me, I don't know if me being like in and out of consciousness was maybe something to do with that. But yeah, it's pretty disconcerting when it's you.
Now, do you think you nodding off? Do you think that had something to do with it? Like it was affecting you, and it's like you were,
Well,
basically almost like a draining, and that's what was causing you to.
Maybe something was, I don't know. Maybe something was taking advantage of me while I was in this semi-conscious state, and was able to, I don't know, maybe project my image and what they wanted to do. Kind of like Freddy Krueger. You're in your nightmare, your dreams, and he can influence, you while you're in that state. It could be something like that. I don't know.
Huh.
Wow. And then I don't know if you guys saw in there, Sandra said she heard a weird whisper voice coming through while you were saying your story, Eva.
I do have a lot of activity happening in my house right now, so I wonder if that has anything to do with that.
Maybe that's we need to get a dream catcher behind you so that way it can spin and it can move. We could,
have one in my son's room. I should bring it out here and see if it starts spinning.
just basically talk to it. It's like, are you with me, and just see it, and then Austin's gone. It goes black.
So when we come to visit you guys, can you point out the non-haunted hotels for me, please? That'd be great.
That would be great.
$20 for whoever puts him in the most haunted.
Look at this.
So, Dodd, what about you? What would you say is your, most iconic moment you've ever encountered?
I've had a lot of crazy things happen to us. I've had a lost time experience aboard the ship. Last fall, when Kindred Spirits was there, they got a great EVP of one of the spirits back aft saying, "Fuck you, Don."
What did
Whoa.
you do?
Whoa, that's great.
He's another old sailor, and he and I we're like this, and we have a very special relationship. And I asked him to give them a little more information than he'd been giving us, because they didn't have a whole lot of time to fool around. So I told him that he needed to just cut the shit and tell them what they wanted to know. And that EVP was as clear as you could ever imagine.
That's awesome.
What?
It's on the show, actually, because they bleep it out, but it's on the show.
I'm trying to remember, I think that was one of the things on that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like I said, they bleep it out, but it's on but they used it.
Oh, that's incredible.
I gotta tell you, last season, the last night we were on the ship, we did a public investigation, and then they were getting ready to close the ship for the season, like Thanksgiving. So I want to say the 20th, November 20th was a Saturday night, and I said to the gang, "Why don't we, no guests to babysit? Why don't we take one last night on the ship just for ourselves?" And we had a pretty good night, but at the very end, and this is the video that I just actually posted to YouTube today. It's on our website too, and it's the one I was talking about where I have the disclaimer about the language, because it's a video, but the video is kind of random, it's really an audio clip with a video background attached to it. And what happened was we're starting to use these cat balls a lot, and they're really great. I mean, we get a lot of responses with them, where they light up in response to questions and things of that nature. So we've started to use them quite a bit. And we were all in the wardroom, and I want to say we were getting ready to wrap up. Eva has an old obelisk, an obelisk 4. And I got to tell you, I have the newest one, and hers is far more effective on the ship for some reason or other. And so she had the obelisk going, and we had K2s and cat balls kind of spread around all around the room. And at some point, the obelisk said, was it beast, Eva? Enter beast.
Enter beast, yeah.
Enter beast. Whoa. And Eva said, "What is your intention?" And there was a little bit of a pause, but at that point, the obelisk said, "Murder." And when the obelisk said murder, literally every indicator in the room lit up. The cat balls all lit up. The K2s all spiked.
Oh shit!
Oh,
On the video, you can hear the whistles from the instruments. Every instrument in the room just went crazy. And of course, what you also hear is "Holy buck" and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I'd be doing the same thing. Like, oh my God!
It just freaked us all out.
And
it was kind of neat. That was a great way to end. That was a great way to end the season.
Oh yeah. Well, it's you've seen those things. Do you guys?
Just like
it's
sorry.
No, go ahead. Don't. I won't interrupt you. Keep going.
Yeah. I was just going to refer to the hospital. It's just like the hospital where it was like something swept through as a ball went off and then another ball went off. So it just went off in sequence. Whatever it was just blasting through the area.
So did you ever get, more communications off of it, or was that pretty much just, the beast, murder, and then everything went off and then it just kind of went quiet?
I think we were ready to go.
That was
yeah, that was the good sign off time. It's like, all right, guys, it's been a night.
We were all pretty much ready to wrap it up. I'm sure we all played it cool, but I would be very surprised if anybody dragged their feet getting off the ship.
Oh, that was a bonus. That was the bonus.
Yeah.
Is that the first time you've ever felt something that negative while on the ship?
It's pretty rare. Something negative is pretty. And you guys tell me, Pat, Eva, if you feel differently, say so. To me, it's pretty rare for there to be something negative.
Yeah.
On the ship, most of the entities on the ship. Honestly, I feel horrible after speaking to some of them, only because their circumstances are so sad.
Yeah.
So I think it's very rare for us to come across something negative. The shadow activity has picked up a lot, I think, over the last year or so. And for whatever reason, I can't pinpoint. I would be very, very happy never seeing another shadow figure again. Because they just, for some reason, they just strike a chord in me. But that activity is picking up a lot. But I don't think there's anything particularly negative aboard the ship. What do you think, guys?
For the most part, when I'm on the ship.
No, I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't think so. I think it's more of it's a grumpy sailor more than anything else. That's in the third mess, and yeah, he shows us definitely his grumpiness towards us, and probably more towards us than the people we bring aboard because he knows us. But yeah, I think that, and we've had a psychic come through and say that there might be a non-human entity, as in an elemental, aboard the ship, and there's another story that goes along with that as far as the spirits on the ship and the non-human entity. So that's something that was just revealed to us within the last year. So we really don't know what's going on as far as that story. We're trying to find out and look into it. But we've had a few psychics say the same thing. If it is true, it's a sad story that this non-human entity is actually keeping the spirits aboard this Salem, and that it's not letting them leave. So that's a story that we've got from psychic.
Would that be the beast, maybe?
Could it?
Yeah, that's it's like I said, I don't want to put too much into it. I was just thinking, it's like if that one was the beast and that was a negative, that could definitely be something that's not letting anybody pass over. It's basically keeping everybody trapped, which adds even another level of sadness upon some of the tragedy that's already befallen a few of the people.
Oh, so I mean, some of the human entities have made it very clear that they're gonna get in trouble if they talk about it.
No.
So it's kind of sad. some of them. And like Pat said, this has just kind of come to our attention in the last year. So it's something that we're gearing more of our investigations in that direction, trying to get a better feel for what we're dealing with. You know, it could be anything. Like I said, Pat said it. Pat said an elemental. That's what I tend to believe, is that we're dealing with a water elemental, but it could be any number of things. So that's just something we're still kind of looking at. I know we have some entities that present themselves as one thing or another. Eva is always dubious. We have a little girl named Lucy, who I think really exists, but I know Eva is often dubious when Lucy appears to us, and we're not really sure whether it's actually her or not. So that kind of thing happens.
Well, I mean, that's one through, a lot of stuff I've seen is that it seems like, malicious entities, like to masquerade as children.
Sure.
Because it's easier because it's easier to accept, a little child, you just welcome them in, and then, they got you.
And it's instinctive to go easier on them.
Yeah. And that's
just the way it is.
So in my experience with Lucy, I've heard her singing, I've heard her humming. There was one time that I've had a weird experience where I didn't feel safe. It was only one night out of the several nights I've been on the ship where I was told Lucy was trying to connect with me. And I ended up being almost like a predatory situation where their shadow was constantly circling the room that you can visually see. There was 3 knocks, there was scratches, there was tapping on the table. This was when I was by myself with a friend in that room, in the CPO mess room. There was another night where I had the paranormal music box playing in the CPO mess room. And as I was about to shut it off, because it was constantly going off, that I thought maybe it was malfunctioning. As I went to shut off the switch, a girl who was part of the group freaked out in front of us because she saw a little boy with black eyes standing in front of it. And she saw it, and her reaction was so genuine that it gave us all goosebumps. And this was part of public investigation.
Oh, no, is that the black-eyed children?
No.
I think she saw what is that? Like I said, because as soon as you said it's like a little boy with black eyes, I'm like, no way, please. It's like one of the first real encounters I've heard. I was like, oh, tell me more.
I love these black-eyed kid stories, but I'm not sure that's where we're going here.
Yeah, no.
and like you said, the damn music box was going and going and going, and we're at the point where we thought, let's turn the damn thing off, because it's a motion sensor. It goes when somebody's standing in front of it.
Yep.
Right.
And we thought, it's just going. There's something wrong with it. But it made complete sense that this little kid was standing in front of it, and nobody else saw anything. Nobody else saw anything, but I guarantee you, if you had seen that woman and her reaction, I believe she was 100% genuine.
Wow,
I don't believe that was a reaction that could have been faked.
No,
it was her first time on the ship.
Yeah, it was her first time on the ship.
Has she come back?
No.
Yeah. I don't know if I would.
That's one of those guests that you beg. It's like, no, you don't have to pay. We want you to come back. Just come back. You're my honored guest. Come back. Just come back. Sit right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I said. That's
another.
That, we've all been in situations where we walk away with nothing in hand, but just by virtue of what you saw and what you felt, Even mentioned we're going back to Hinsdale in September. This will be our 3rd trip to Hinsdale, or my 3rd trip. My 4th trip, our 3rd trip as a group, and I don't think we have any really hard evidence from Hinsdale, but it's a place we're all drawn back.
I have a boy that put me home, Don. Remember from Hinsdale, my first time there, the little boy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
He's like in my house.
Yep, I forgot about that. That's right. Yep, that's right. All I remember about Hinsdale is we all end up sleeping in the same room, in the living room, and they all posted on Facebook the next day that the scariest thing in the house was the noises I made while I was sleeping.
Now, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. Eva, what's right behind your shoulder? Is like something on the wall behind you?
Window blinds.
Whatever it is back there, it has changed. There's actually been, if you watch the video, and it's like even now you look at it, there's like three shapes, and then all of a sudden it'll morph and it will suddenly change into lines.
Really?
I've been watching it, and it's like when you watch, because I'm viewing it on two screens here, and I'm watching the delay right now, and over here it's looks like three circle shapes, and like right now it's three circle shapes on the camera, and now it's gone back to lines.
Is
it like just keeps
this?
Oh
yeah. You see that?
Is it a I see the stripes or the line.
Yeah, it's whatever that is, and as soon as it's just I was just watching it, and like nothing would move, and all of a sudden it would just change. It would just suddenly change things. I'm like, is something
Is that a
touching
window,
it?
Eva? Is that blinds?
Yeah, that's window blinds with an AC that we never took down from the summer in my stationary bike.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I was wondering if something was moving it, because all of a sudden it's like you would just be sitting there, and all of a sudden it would do this like shift. But that's why it was just crazy. I was just looking back there, and I'm like, is anybody else, seeing that like watching the picture? Because all of a sudden it would completely change shape.
Oh, it looks like it's moving. Is it like a technical glitch?
I don't know. That's what I was just curious. It's like, with Austin's moving it right now, but it just, when he wasn't changing anything, it was doing it on its own. Nothing was being touched. But yeah, sorry, a little sidetrack. I was just noticing it. It's just as we were talking, I was like, this is crazy.
I've been having activity in the house since December, so I wouldn't be surprised if anything's happening.
Yeah, because see how it's moving. There's something right now. It's like you see it just warp. So yeah, it might be technical, but yeah, it's just pretty cool. I just want to point out and see if anybody else had noticed that, or if it was just me.
Do you want me to pull the blinds up?
No, it adds a cool factor to it. No, don't. No, that's. But anyway, yeah, we're running out of time here, guys. But I want to thank you for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Hope you guys had fun too.
Oh, we did. Thank you so much for having me.
But everybody go to Facebook, the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates, like their page, go to the gbpa.com and go there and check them out. They've also got links to their events that they do on the USS Salem. You can go, there's a webpage for that as well. I want to say that's the uss-salem.org. Is that correct?
Yep. But there's a Facebook page called the USS Salem Paranormal Experience. That's where we post all the information about what's going on the ship.
Get with those, because based off this, what we've been talking about here, it's like that. It's going to be well worth going on these trips. I mean, you guys sound like you run a really nice program, and that's what I love is when I hear it from people. It's just you care about the experience. And when you're upfront with people, it's like, I promise you, there's nothing here. We don't have some minimum wage, members behind the walls, tapping, making sounds, moving levers. No, what you have here is we're going to take you. We're not going to promise you anything, but you're not only going to hopefully get information from experience from the ghosts. You get to be on an old ship, walking around, which is pretty cool.
Ship itself is a great experience.
Yeah. But Pat, Eva, and Dawn, thank you again, for coming on. It's just, I wish you guys the best. I'm definitely going to keep in touch, because we won't, I hope for the absolute success for you guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for having us, guys. This was great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love this stuff where you don't have to, where you can just yak without worrying about what you're saying.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's what we're going for, because we want it to where, I want you guys to feel like this is just another night where we're all sitting around, just drinking a beer, having a cup of coffee, just being normal people, because there's no agenda. It's just, I want people to get to know you guys, get people that haven't heard about you. Now you've got something to do when you go to, get there to Massachusetts. You get down, you want to go down, see a ship, and go with some cool people and get some, just have a cool experience, definitely reach out to them, on Facebook, Greater Boston Paranormal Associates, book a tour, give these guys, let them know, that you heard about them from us, that way we can get more evidence of like what we need to do to freak Austin out. Cause we need that video.
Hey,
need that video.
I want to say, I know we have no time. I just want to point out that what we charge for the tours, every penny we get goes to the ship. It costs a lot of money to keep that thing afloat, and everything we get goes to the ship. We don't make any money on any of these tours or anything of the kind. It all goes to the care and preservation of USS Salem and the United States Naval Shipbuilding Museum, which is on the lower decks of the ship.
Awesome.
Now, do you, real quick, on your site, do you guys have merchandise for people to purchase?
No, we really don't. I mean, the Salem has stuff. We really don't.
We do this voluntarily. We're just so passionate about it.
I'm just thinking a pretty cool. Yeah, I was just thinking a cool sticker would be something with the ship, with your guys' logo, and it says the Beast. And have something like the Beast. I would just say that'd be awesome. I said that would be just a killer sticker to have it there. It's just like, so yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny that you see Sandra Perez popping up in the comments. Sandra is the merch queen. She, everything out of her mouth is a different idea about different kind of merch.
You have freedom to use my idea. I don't want it. I'm not looking for anything in return. If you like that sticker, go for it.
There you go. All right. All right. We have it recorded, so there'll be no.
Yep. Nope. So that, like I said, if that helps, get an extra SLS camera so you can have it. Just like that's what we do. That's what I said. I'm happy to help with that because, I think it'd be really cool. Button or pins like that. It's just like I said, when you do, let me know. Because I'll probably want to pick something up. And have it here with me because I've got my little pin caddy where I keep stuff.
Oh, a pen we can definitely do. That only bought about 60,000. So a pen we can most definitely do.
Awesome. Well, when we get there, I'll have to try to talk one of them off of you. So just it's like, can I borrow that?
Yeah, we can be had.
So,
all right.
Guys. Sandra decided, Beast pen. There we go. See, there. So we got the Beast. Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks again, everybody. Please go support, the gbpa.com. Show them some love. Thanks, you guys. Keep up the great work and have a great night. Appreciate it.
You guys.
Thank you.
Back at you.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Guys.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This episode brought to you by Nanny Cakes 407 on Facebook. Give her a phone call at 407-923-2898. I got it correct this time. Yes. You mentioned Three Beards. You're going to save 15% off your cake order here in the Central Florida area. If it's outside of the Central Florida area, just remember it's going to be interesting getting shipped to you, and we'll be more than happy to give you an official Three Beards spork. That's what you're going to need. So everybody go to threebeardspodcast.com, patreon.com/Three Beards Podcast. Become a beardo. We would love you for it. It helps us buy some cool stuff like some of our intros and outros that we got merchandise. Social media. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. We have not embraced the TikTok yet. So, I'm going to say it like an old man, the TikTok. Yeah, we're not doing the TikTok. Yeah, not yet. We'll try to get Austin on something there. But yeah, this show will be rebroadcast on Patriot Radio, on the Zeno radio app every Thursday night at 8 p.m., courtesy of J&J Beard Company in New Jersey. Check them out at jjbeardco.com. And let them know that you heard about them and that, you like the show. Once again, go to thegbpa.com and support Dawn and the crew. And just, like I said, go to YouTube. Check them out. They've got some great videos. You're going to love them. I'll try to share that one he just posted because that one sounds fantastic. So I'll share that on the page. But everybody, thanks again. Have a great night. We will see you later.